overview of thermal regulation. This slide over here. Okay. The top one here is about changes in body temperature can give effect in chemical reaction. Okay. Or give effect in molecule structure, give effect chemical interaction, also biochemical process. Easiest example is enzyme denatured. Okay, or molecule structure, the hydrogen bond or van der Waals forces can easily broke down when in high temperature. Okay. Okay, the second point here, stability of body temperature. So poikilotherm and heterotherm homeotherm is animals. We have a lot of animals. These animals will, whether this animal is pure poikilotherm or heterotherm or homeotherm. Poikilotherm, the body temperature is variable. The body temperature variable follow the ambient temperature or environment temperature. Heterotherm, this animal have certain part of this animal body have variable temperature, but in certain part this animal body will have constant body temperature. Homeotherm, this animal have constant body temperature regardless of what environment temperature. Okay. Below of this, the ectotherm, endotherm, this is about source of thermal energy. So usually heterotherm or homeotherm, the source of thermal energy is endotherm. For poikilotherm animals that exhibit poikilotherm, the source of energy is from ambient or environment. Okay, so these all relate with the thermal zone. Next, in review, thermal strategies. So the two major thermal strategies, whether the animal is a tolerance or the animal is the animal is conformer or the animal is regulator. The animals conformer or tolerate. So usually this animal will have variable body temperature because this animal poikilotherm follow the ambient or environment temperature. For regulator strategies, okay, the body temperature is constant regardless of environment temperature. So this type of animal, homeotherm, they regulate their body system in order to compensate with the environment temperature. Okay. Alright, heterotherm is sometimes body temperature maintained at certain level, but sometimes the body temperature can fluctuate. So the fluctuation of body temperature can be in terms of time, temporal, or in terms of regional, the place, okay, or the space. Alright, sources of energy, ectotherm. So it's logic in this pathway here. Okay, the source of energy for a poikilotherm is ectotherm, and vice versa. Okay, this want to introduce the graph here for you to understand. So time versus body temperature. Over time, when the ambient temperature is increased, body temperature also increase. When ambient temperature is drop or low, the ambient temperature will follow the ambient temperature. So this is how in terms of graph. Heterotherm, sometimes the body temperature is constant, sometimes fluctuate. So over time versus body temperature here, you can see whether it's constant or slightly increase or decrease. So this means this animal have certain body temperature is fluctuate, certain is constant. For homeotherm, from this graph you can see that versus time, the body temperature is at the same level constant. Okay, this is how to look this review. Okay, next slide. Review in terms of heterotherm temporal. So the difference is body temperature versus time. This one body temperature versus part of the body. So different part of the body so have different body temperature. So this one clearly I think most easier example, testes, okay, outer body, so have slightly lower temperature compared to the man body temperature. Okay, so regional heterotherm. Okay, next slide here. Okay, this one relate with the thermal zone. So thermal zone is where the optimum physiological changes can occur. Okay, below a lower critical zone, hypothermia, lower critical zone here, lower critical zone, so the body start to execute thermogenesis, produce heat. Okay, at upper critical zone, okay, the body system will start active cooling. Okay, thermal zone. Okay, so what happened when drop from, or when the thermal exceed the neutral zone? Okay, lower critical, here you can see decrease in temperature. Okay, but what metabolic rate is increased. This metabolic rate increase to the objective is to produce heat. Thermal neutral zone, no need to expend energy, no need to extra usage of energy for thermal regulation, the basal metabolic rate. Okay, upper critical zone here, so the high temperature. So when the body system enter the upper critical zone, the body also have high metabolic rate, but the aim for high metabolic rate is to decrease the body temperature. Active cooling happen here. Alright, so now we enter the thermoregulation. So thermoregulation have behavioral response or physiological response. Surface area over volume, example here, we cuddle. When we feel cold, we tend to cuddle each other, or the penguin cuddle, stay in a flock. Okay, so that surface area over volume to regulate the temperature, the thermal. Physiological response here, insulation. Whales or polar bear have thick layer of fat. Okay, that thick layer of fat and fur act as insulation. Okay, so sweating also physiological, shivering and non-shivering. Shivering the muscle, non-shivering BAT. Okay, brown adipose tissue, and then circulation adaptation, whether vasodilated or vasoconstrict, and also countercurrent. Okay, to produce heat, internal heat production can be non-shivering or shivering. I think this is simple enough. This is comparing brown adipose tissue and white adipose tissue. Many small mammals have brown adipose tissue, or the small babies in human. Okay, physiological response in terms of circulating adaptation, so vasoconstrict, vasodilation. This one you can relate also with countercurrent. Okay, countercurrent multiplier, countercurrent here. Okay, the opposite direction will transfer or exchange heat. Thermal zone, I think this one is nice in terms of thermal zone. You can see here on your right hand side here is the temperature. So the green color, or this face here, is the thermal neutral zone. So here we have the basal metabolic rate. Usually the homeotherm and heterotherm has constant body temperature, right? But when homeotherm exceed or facing the high temperature, Okay, you can see that it's when the homeotomes start to sweat to reduce the temperature, or the homeotome had fever. Okay, vice versa, when exposed to cold temperature or the temperature is dropped, the ambient temperature, the homeotome or heterotome start to shiver the muscle, or whether they have BAT, the BAT start to execute the mechanism, okay, to produce a lot of heat in order to balance back the cold ambient temperature. Okay. Okay, so we did talk about heat shock response, tissue and membrane remodeling. So usually this mechanism or thermoregulation executed by poikiloderm. Okay, poikiloderm is animal that have variables of body temperature because they tend to follow the ambient or environment temperature. So what happened for this type of animal? Their cells or their tissue will execute this tissue or membrane remodeling and tissue remodeling. Change the phospholipid types, or the saturated or unsaturated fatty acid change. Another, in terms of enzyme kinetic, poikiloderm animal, the cells can execute or can produce the HSP protein, heat shock protein. So this is when the temperature is too high. The poikiloderm experience the higher temperature. When the poikiloderm experience the lower temperature, exposed to very cold temperature, poikiloderm will execute tissue and membrane remodeling. Okay, or the cell or their tissue have antifreeze protein, therefore it will disrupt the crystal formation or alter the freezing point. Alright. Okay, so this is the membrane remodeling and tissue remodeling. Okay, so this is overall of thermal regulation. So relate with the thermal zone, okay, whether lower critical zone or upper critical zone. So this animal, we have a lot of animals. The animals can be a regulator or conformer. So regulator usually have constant body temperature. So the type of thermal strategies for regulator, whether homeotherm or heterotherm. Conformer, the thermal strategy, the animal thermal strategy is poikilotherm. The variable body temperature, the body temperature tends to follow the ambient or environment temperature. So in order to maintain, relate to body temperature here. Sources of energy, metabolism, okay. Conduction, convection, radiation also can be the source of energy. Or also conduction, convection, radiation and evaporation can be heat loss. Okay. So the top one here, at cellular level or biochemical level, how cells or the tissue regulate upper or lower critical zone of temperature. Okay, lower freeze tolerance, freeze avoidance. If upper or exposed to heat shock response. In terms of membrane fluidity, when lower, when cold or lower critical zone, membrane tends to solidify. Okay, upper critical zone liquefy. Alright, thank you. Yes.